Good afternoon. You're watching AB Live, a news-based chat show in which we discuss topics ranging from business, news, politics, and so much more. On today's episode, we are talking about the business of events, and in the studios for that, we have Maxine English from Outside the Box Events, and we have Minda from 800 Tickets. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleased to be here.
Right, so Minda, I'm going to start with you. Tell us more about 800 Tickets.
800 Tickets is one of the oldest and biggest ticketing companies in UAE in the Middle East. We used to be branded by another name, Time Out Tickets. Long time back. It was the first ticketing company in Dubai ever. And now we are 800 Tickets and we selling tickets to concerts.
All right. Simple, you're selling tickets. Great. Maxine, coming to you now. Tell me more about Outside the Box Events. What is it that you do?
Oh, well, where to start? So Outside the Box Events at its core is an events agency, corporate events, creative events, and we like to think that we are what we say on the tin, where we try and think outside the box a little bit and do something that's a little bit unusual. But the other core element of what we do, the other branch, as you might say, is we do venue management. So we currently exist on board the QE2. We run theatre by QE2, and some of the elements we tend to branch outside of the theatre into some of their other event spaces across the ship. But yeah, so there's those two sections to what we do.
Sounds like fun. I would love to be in your office. But tell me more about your business model though. So when you started Outside the Box Events, what is it that you had in mind, and is that where it's headed towards? Or
it definitely is. I know that when my business partner Rob started the events agency, it was because a lot of the events that he wanted to deliver were a little bit unusual, and people were coming to him to ask for advice and look for ways of doing things slightly differently. And that's where Outside the Box began to evolve. And then I joined with my theatre background and events background and said, okay, you know, we can take this up another level, and also there's a theatre available on the QE2, let's go and take that. And so the business model has slightly changed in terms of where we're headed and what it is that we're trying to achieve in terms of Dubai and the wider region. And our focus mainly is on the creative elements that we produce for the theatre, because we produce our own shows as well as producing for other people. So a lot of people think that Theatre by QE2 is everything that we do, but we also produce entertainment, you know, Dubai-wide and, well, UAE-wide at the moment. But yes, the business model has evolved from the corporate and has come right back around towards the creative, with that kind of big theatre streak that runs through the middle, which is where I come in.
all right, very interesting. So it's theatre and events that you do essentially.
Yes.
But just pulling back a little bit, Minda, so what would you say is the current state of the entertainment industry, or rather just the events industry, to be more specific?
I think at the moment we are a little bit still slowing down from like 2000, maybe beginning of 2017. I mean, slowing down. It's not that many events happening. I mean, not the big names coming as used to come before, when we had 2 concerts of big A-line artists every week.
Right. It's ironic you're saying it today. We have the Tony Robbins show and Alicia Keys coming in today, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's one event.
Yeah, it's a one-off,
that's one
yeah.
event. I mean, and it's a more educational event, let's say, or not show business. I mean, still, I think that entertainment events are a major part. I mean, I'm very happy we have opera, we have Queen Elizabeth Theatre. I mean, because that's also educating a little bit city in different events, in different entertainment events. Actually, I think we lost 2 other theatres. That's not good point of business. I think with opening of Coca-Cola Arena and few arenas coming more, we will have more sport events, which is also another good part of the entertainment business itself. I mean, for me, it's like ticketing business. I mean, the sports events helping a lot because they are massive. The prices maybe not so high, but that's people where they are still interesting. Because they cannot stream and they cannot watch it on their phone so easy, and you will not get the emotions of the sport competition. So this is the.
And why do you think that is? Why has there been a slowdown then in the last 2 years?
There are many aspects, I think. I mean, we know the situation of all the city. We know the situation of Saudi Arabia. So that's, and I think maybe people just don't want to spend so much money on the entertainment, because like the city was booming of the events. As I said, every weekend you have the A-list artists, so you cannot spend every week on this.
Right.
So it's, I mean, both sides. I mean, people don't want to spend, and organizers don't want to do.
Interesting. So it looks like you're talking about an oversupply, but we'll get to that in a bit. I want to ask you, do you agree with that? Have you also seen a slump?
To an extent, I agree, and to an extent I disagree, because I feel, you know, with the QE2 and some of the events that we've put on, when you look at some of the massive successes that we've had, I think it's about value proposition. So that's in the way that I agree. If you give someone the right price point and the right content and the right quality, we are seeing an uptake in tickets. There are certain events that we've done that we could do twice again, we could sell 3 times over. However, then we got to this summer, and last summer was here and this summer is here. It was very, very quiet. So from an events perspective, July and August just completely tailed off, and you can start to see all of the events coming back in September, which is slightly different to last year. But like when I look at some of the things that we've done, like the ABBA experience, the Gatsby immersive experience, and some of those wider performances that are practically sold out, there's a hunger there for entertainment, but the hunger for entertainment is at the right price with the right quality.
Right.
And that's where we drive.
I agree with that. I mean, because it always were, I think it were overpriced. I mean, all the tickets and everything. So people just don't want to pay and to not get that good quality, or service, or entrance is not managed well, or there are no enough washrooms or outlets, I mean, to buy drinks and food. So that was really, really overpriced. So I think the situation, our economical situation, putting everything in the good positions, and will regulate the market.
Yeah. Right, so on those lines, so obviously ticketing is one aspect of it, but that's not your only revenue driver, especially for an event management company. So what would you say are the main sources of revenue? Where is it that the funds come from? And is that one of the reasons that, you know, probably this year you haven't seen an uptick compared to last year?
It's quite interesting because, as you say, the ticket prices, it's regulating the market somewhat in terms of ticket prices. But then one of our key pieces is that people don't just want to buy a ticket, go to a show and go home. It's the experience, it's everything that you just talked about. And for me, with Theatre by QE2, the revenue streams come from the fact that we drive food and beverage. It's there on site. Yeah. So you come, you have dinner, you have a few drinks before you go to the show. Our ticketing system allows you to pre-book those before you arrive. So before you've even set foot out of your house, you know that you're having dinner. You've already pre-ordered your drinks that are waiting for you before you arrive. Most people extend that with a staycation across the weekend. So we create an experience where there's something happening the next morning that gives you layer upon layer of experience. So the room rates, the F&B, those are the things that drive revenue for us, and then we layer on top of that an educational element with some of our events. So if you look at something like Alice in Wonderland, you would do Alice in Wonderland the show that people would come along to, and that's your ticket price. We then add on, you know, the Mad Hatter's tea party afterwards, so the kids would all go along to a tea party and meet all the characters. That's an extra revenue driver. And then we add on an educational masterclass. So we're giving children, drama teachers, A-level students access to West End actors, West End directors that they can come in and learn from. So it's about, again, layering experience, but also layering the revenue drivers that come through that entire event piece for us from a theatre perspective.
Right, on those lines, I just need to ask you, so do you think the staycation kind of events, by that I mean, where the best example would be the Grand Prix, where you come in for one event, but there are these subsidiary events happening along with it. Do you think that is the way to go to attract people, not just from within the region, but from outside the region as well? So this is one conversation we had in Oman with one of the hotel chains, where they're trying to promote that because they want people to stay, they want them to attend events, but you also need to make other options available for them so that, you know, they can be there. There's a reason for them to be there for longer. What do you think, Mihal?
Yes, I mean, that's good. I mean, now I'm facing also many event organizers who's doing that. I mean, this venue has their own, I mean, hotel, but the others, they're trying to cooperate with the closest, or like 3 types of the hotels. I mean, like budget, medium class, and high class. I mean, so many events opening now. I mean, packages with the food and beverage packages, with the stay in the hotel package, and that's working. Another side, I think, what you wanted to ask also about the sponsorship. Yeah. So the sponsorship, I mean, that's also where I think all the market is suffering, because sponsors also, as not many corporations corporate events now happening, which was part of the business for many organizers. I mean, now I don't think that these parties happening and events, corporate events happening. So the same with the sponsorship. I mean, so suddenly ticketing became the main revenue.
So you're the hero right now in this scene. Right now, just pulling back on a more macroeconomic level, how important is this industry, the entertainment industry and the events industry, for the economy? Because obviously Dubai hasn't relied heavily on oil. We've diversified before the conversation even started in the region. So is it still a relevant industry when it comes to the GDP?
Yes, I mean, if you look at any city that has got its foot firmly on the world map, the event scene runs through it seamlessly. If you talk about some of the big stuff, you know, I just referenced it there. We're talking about West End actors, we're talking about Broadway, we're talking about they become a stepping stone, and they become a marker for which you operate by. If I say to you, I'm bringing you a West End actor, you know that there's a quality level there. Right. And so from a perspective of Dubai being on that global market and saying this is who we are and what we deliver, that is not just events like a small theatre event or one Madonna or one Rolling Stones. That is us talking about Dubai Summer Surprises, the shopping festival, the fitness festival, the food festival. It's all of the things where we, as an entire community and as an entire events industry, come together to deliver an event that sits as part of Dubai's big and wider plan with Dubai Calendar, Dubai Tourism, and working together to create those offerings that drive tourism into us. There's a huge piece of tourism that comes flying into us for the shopping festival, and so from an events perspective, that's our job to support that with the areas that go with it. You know, Emirates Lit Festival, that is now going to be looking at carrying on throughout the year with satellite pieces. You know, all of these things are super important to keep traffic moving here and keep the economy moving. And it's like we were just saying, everything that comes with it. If I put on an event, that means someone's going to fly in and stay in a hotel. That's an Emirates flight ticket, that's a hotel ticket,
right.
that's a taxi. That's all of those pieces that are driving a more sustainable economy. So right at the heart of that event industry gives everybody a reason to come here, and it gives the tourists a reason to be here, and the residents a reason to stay.
Right.
You know, we find, and I'm sure you say the same, even though that some of our economy is struggling somewhat, one of the things we do find is that people constantly want entertainment, and it comes back to the value proposition. But people don't ever go, right, that's on the back burner, we're going to give that up.
Right.
It doesn't ever seem to die completely, no matter that we lost some of it across the last couple of years.
Right, and would you have numbers to support what you just said in terms of the contribution to the economy? Is there a percentage or a study that has been conducted?
Well, if you look at the latest study that Dubai Tourism has done in conjunction with Dubai Calendar, and the rate of it's actually rising.
Okay.
So the tourism driven with things by the shopping festival and the food festival that we're getting involved in, the rate from last year to this year has actually increased. I can't give you that percentage, but actually sitting down with those guys to look at how you can support creating that drive and which area it is across the market that you're driving at. But yes, the actual influx of tourism to shopping festival and of some of the major events of those scale is actually rising.
All right, very interesting. So Minda, what do you think, or how important is the role that venues play for events? Now, we've seen the Coca-Cola Arena coming up over here in the region. When the Formula One circuit was made, that was a big deal again. So do you think that plays a huge role, a major role?
Yes, of course. I mean, Dubai and Emirates itself, I mean, we still don't have enough venues. I mean, when we have, like, I don't know, 2 Coca-Cola arenas, 2 Yas arenas, which is finalizing to be built. I mean, and like World Trade Center, when they will finish Expo, we will have more halls. I think that the prices will go down. They must go down. I mean, that's again will be affordable for the organizers to do more events, because at the moment, I mean, even if economy is struggling, I mean, still the rent prices and other services prices, they don't feel that, and don't feel all the industry. And just to say, I mean, so we want more venues as possible. I mean,
right.
I'm very happy they open new theater, but I'm very unhappy that the 2 theaters closed. I mean, because when it will be the competition between them, I mean, the prices will be more affordable for the organizer, and they will do more shows.
Right.
So the same more shows, the same more revenue for ticketing company, the same more for the tourist department. I mean, and to tell about what you were saying, that the city of Dubai or UAE for tourists looks more than for beaches and shopping.
Yes.
Because for many years, shopping festival did their job. I mean, shopping, and of course beaches. We have amazing beaches.
Yeah.
And there are not so many tourists who's coming and thinking Dubai as an entertainment city. So with the opening of the parks, with opera, with Coca-Cola, with Queen Elizabeth, I mean, so this is where we changing little bit the face of the city. So if tourists will be thinking shopping, beaches and entertainment or what I can do, I mean, that's, I think everyone will benefit.
That's a whole promotional strategy that
Yes.
you've just proposed and pitched right now. But alternatively, how important a role do you think events play for venues? So now he's spoken about one aspect of it, but QE2 is not just an events venue. It's also an accommodation. It's like it's a hotel essentially.
Yes, they refer to her as a destination piece, and you can see everything that is being built around her. So eventually there will be a much wider destination around her. But yes, I mean from a perspective of how many events are on board, from a corporate perspective outside of the theatre, it's very, very important. The theatre itself is also used for corporate events. There's a lot of town halls and conferences that go on in there, and that is important. It's bread and butter. It's not just about the entertainment as much as that is a core piece. We look at people who are coming in from outside who need corporate event spaces, you know, the big companies that come in to have their town halls and their travel. That's incredibly important, and we need to have the venues that can handle this. At the moment, a lot of those venues are hotel ballrooms,
Right.
which means that some of the bigger companies are coming in, take for example Cisco, etc., who come in and then they have to create a venue within a ballroom. So the more spaces that we have, like mine, like the Coca-Cola Arena on a massive scale, but they have some amazing meeting and conference facilities. Those kind of things are very, very important as well, because it's industry and it's trade.
Right. I know we touched upon this briefly before, but now that Saudi is opening its entertainment industry in itself, Minda, is that a good thing or a bad thing for the UAE?
It's maybe a good thing for the event organizers because some of them opened, or most of them opened offices in Saudi.
Yeah.
For the industry, I think it's a little bit bad because we're losing actually those tourists from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
I remember last summer I was there for some Arabic events, helping for another company, and there was Eid, after Ramadan Eid concerts, and there was big slogans everywhere in Arabic and English, which addressed to Saudis. Don't think to travel somewhere. We'll entertain you here.
No.
So this is, of course, being patriot of the country. You will not think to travel. So
Yeah.
this is for our country, for Dubai and Abu Dhabi or Emirates itself. I mean, I think it's a bad thing because we just lost a huge market, tourists and entertainment. Actually, 2-3 weeks back, 1975 concert were here. I think about 60-70% of people were from Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
which were amazing. I mean, I don't know why, but people travel here. Maybe because it's a young crowd, I mean, and they knew that this band will never come to Saudi and maybe not to area at all. I mean, so they traveled here and they were, I felt like 2 years back, I mean, when 30-40% of crowd were Saudis, I mean.
Yeah.
So that was, so, I mean, it's good for area itself, for Middle East. I mean, we're becoming as same as more venue. We can say not another country. It's like Saudi has venues and they opening more venues. So that eases sometimes to book artists for the area. I mean, so the artist can come for 2 cities in Saudi, 2 cities maybe in Dubai, Bahrain, Doha, Kuwait. I mean, so we as an area, Middle East, I think, or GCC, I mean, it's good.
I mean, so you don't think there's going to be a second or a separate breed of tourists that are going to be attracted to the region?
Possible. Let's see. We can, this is the country where we cannot plan anything.
Right. Fair enough. But yeah, so I know he spoke for you here. He said that it's good for the event management
To an extent, and I agree to an extent, but there is also, and it always comes back to communication and working together, and it's something that I talk about in a massive way when it comes to all the venues here and actually getting on the same page rather than everybody announcing a massive concert on the same night, because there's no need, because I believe there's room for everybody to exist and operate, but you just need to chat about it in a bit more of an open fashion, not my mind.
Yeah.
And I think if Saudi is getting it right, which I'm hoping that eventually that will come, that we should be able to share artists. You know, when you look at a tour that goes into England or a tour that goes into America, they have multiple dates. that is exactly right. If we can start to look at artists coming into the region and that being something that tours around, that should drive prices down for artists, because as you both know, in the past, the prices that have been paid for these major artists to come here have been so insane that it means that you can't repeat that, and it's not financially viable, and it's usually supported by a government piece in there, which means it's not actually commercial. And so when you look at that, you're looking at the stuff that's happening in Saudi and saying, I hope that you are not paying them 70% more than you normally would, so that eventually we can get onto an even keel. But from a smaller venue perspective, if I look at some of the family shows that we do, like an Alice in Wonderland, like we have Wind in the Willows coming up, and we have Peter Pan, those essentially we should be having the communication that they start here and then they move across there, and that should be something that would then benefit everybody, because you're halving all of the costs involved in creating entertainment.
But even if that happens, we're still using the Saudi audience that we had before.
We are, but there's a huge audience here as well for family shows. So for me, about in the target of family, we didn't have a massive on QE2. There's not a massive Saudi market for me in the family shows. So if we can use that right and send it across to Saudi, which I know is now happening, but I'm of the opinion of, as you said, I think everyone in the world has gone to Saudi at the moment, so I'm almost just letting it breathe.
We still. I mean, I have some friends who's doing really like interesting events. Same as you, like you think what you do. Now you need to think before you just I'll do this. I'll book this artist. No different. Now you need to think. You need to price it correct, and you need to work for audience who's interested in this event.
Right.
So I have organizers who saying I'd better do smaller scale events here, but I will do as I want. And I don't want to go there and someone will tell me what to do, how to do. Because now at the moment it's like Western style business, I think, for business in Saudi Arabia. So not everyone wants, to do this, and not everyone ready for that. We are happy to work in our city and to do what we want, what we like.
Great. So speaking of, so now there obviously has to be an evolution and a change in the way people are working, because competition is increasing not just within the country but also from the region, and the market is going down. So what do you see are the emerging trends or the trends that need to come in this region to just up their game?
For me, I think I go back to talking about some of the pieces that we've done in the theatre, which are a little bit unusual. We are finding the things that are slightly unusual that people haven't seen before are the things that they want. That value proposition, customer segment. So Gatsby, the immersive experience, where we took over the entire QE2. So as a theatre performance, it was across 3 decks of the QE2. It was absolutely everywhere. And we had 6 performances. They were all sold out, and people are begging us to bring back something more immersive. We're now bringing dining experiences, which you are dining in a hotel within a performance, and these things are really, really popular. So for me, that's an emerging trend where you take what people are used to and you rustle it up a bit and give them something a bit different. There are some people, like my husband, who go, they're not going to talk to me, are they? I don't have to interact with them. But most people are hungry for something a bit more unusual. The stuff that happens at Dubai Opera is great. You have Phantom of the Opera, you have Les Mis, you have these great big shows that are once in a lifetime things for people to go and see. But what that does is it engages a hunger in people. They go and see something of that size and think, I did not know how much I love theatre. And so that's where we come in and go, look, we have other things for you to explore. You can push the boundaries with theatre and events in a way that potentially the opera can't, because they have this huge spectacular. And then over our side, we play with boundaries a little bit more.
Right. So Minda, I know you deal with customers more directly than maybe the event managers and organisers. So would you say that there is a demand among the attendees essentially for a more immersive experience, like she was talking about? Like I know FIFA is doing it, Expo will be doing it, where VR is going to be a very important part of the stadium experience. So are people actively asking for it, or are they just going with the flow?
I think more with the flow. Just if there is, I think the city just what can give, it's not by like what demanded. So if the organizer is going to give this, experiences or other extra things for the show, then it will be maybe, but like not we are fashionable, but we usually using it. I mean, but we not. You cannot create something here.
Right.
In general, what will go and to make popular. I mean, we will take what is popular. I mean, this city is like to use what is popular. So
they also like what they like. When we're in the theatre, she's an unusual theatre because she's within a ship, so we don't have any flies, so it means that we don't have backdrops like you would in a traditional theatre environment, like in a pantomime. So we've gone digital. Our entire Alice in Wonderland backdrops were all digital set.
Right.
And so on first walk-in, you get a lot of mummies and daddies and little ones going, oh, that's an LED wall. That's not a backdrop. Where's all the swishy theatre pieces? And then they come out, because it's more interactive and it's more development and it shows a story in a very, very different way. They came out and said, we couldn't believe how brilliant that digital piece is and how involved the actual actors were with the digital and how it became seamless. It was quite surprising for them. Right. So for us, that was our first toe into really, pushing anything in terms of a theatre that was built in 1964.
Of course. So I'm sure QE2 wasn't expecting that when she was being built. But over the years, are you also expecting technology to play a more intrusive role in all of this? 5G is coming to the region. Do you think that is going to have an impact in the way events are conducted?
I think it does on a corporate event scale. I think it doesn't so much from a theatre point of view, because we need to keep that. There's a piece of theatre that you need to keep true to what it does, but it does advance. It was exactly the same with Les Mis. They had a great big digital LED wall at the back of Les Mis, and my initial thought was, no, but it was superb. But yeah, from a corporate event point of view, we've got some conferences coming up that are complete town halls and conferences with keynote speakers who aren't even here in the region, which makes it cheaper and easier for people to host these events, which is a superb thing.
Right, I'm sure all of this comes with a cost, and the cost of just conducting and hosting events is going up and up, and ticket prices are coming down though, are they?
Yes.
Yeah, so now...
they're coming to normal, not down, they're coming to normal.
Yes.
So help me understand, how exactly are you going to break even then when the cost of conducting events and hosting events is going up, ticket prices are coming down, people who are demanding for it is again going down? How? That
question not to me, that to organizers. For me, the price, I mean, and our model of business, we're getting a commission from what we sold. But yes, I understand the question. I mean, that's what we expecting, that the venue prices will go down, the technologies also. If you will, when it will be first open 5G or whatever, I mean, new technology, of course it will be expensive. So we don't want this, because the services and venues prices are too high. It's much higher than in US, than in Europe. Believe me, I mean, and that's what it not make this business model normal. So I think, I mean, there is the going us as the first hand of the business, or like first touch of the business, we always asking to lower price as possible. Then there is a sense that people will buy.
Minda, you're the first person to say that we don't want 5G.
No, I mean, let it be as same as we are. I mean, we having now in October GameCon and Insomnia, two gaming things. I mean, where a lot of technology, new things, I think will be also presented and shown to people. So just welcome them. I mean, yes, of course, but the problem is the price. Everyone still thinks that in Dubai everything can be double or triple priced, which is not.
And the problem that we face is with the content. So a huge part of what I do, there's a huge community piece for me, and the education and community is very important. As Minda said, we lost our two main community venues recently. Duktak, which is where I worked for a while, it was a core community piece, and that has gone. So for me, I really support using local performers where I can. What is happening though is that the cost of living here means that it is actually, sadly, cheaper for me to pick up a performer from the UK, rehearse and train them, direct them and cast them there, put them on a plane, fly them here, accommodate them, let them perform and send them home, than it is to work with performers here, because of their costs of living, because of the cost of permits, because of the costs of all of those things. It's the same with my musical experiences. I can fly in 10 dancers from the UK, they're in, they perform, they're back out, than hiring 10 dancers here. So from supporting the local economy piece, we struggle massively as a business to try and level out my passion for supporting the local economy and local performers, because performing arts has got to grow here, and also reducing my costs by bringing them in from the UK.
But locally, is there also a credit culture, or is that just a fake reputation that the region has?
There's no credit culture. No.
With more conviction, please.
Yeah, there is no credit culture. No, that's a real challenge for us in terms of you saying costs are rising. So you do then start to look outside of the city for content, and that's not what the city wants. The content should be created here.
Right, and what are the main challenges that you would face as a ticketing officer?
I think that still organizers disappearing one by one.
Yeah.
I mean, the events are not, the events cancelled. I mean, because not enough sales and other things. I mean, we just need more events. I mean, and I think the industry was quite good like 2014, 15, 16, and then it slowly was going down. I mean, and now we see what we see. I mean, not many major acts announced, and I'm happy that smaller events. I mean, really, the events which you creating, let's say, this is getting. I mean, this is what city needs. I mean. This is what theaters do. I mean, this is educating people. I mean,
right. By more events, you mean more quality events? Because even now, when you see there are events happening every day, but the stadiums and the seats aren't filled. So, I mean, I'm not sure if there is an over demand or an oversupply given the situation and state right now.
All in one. All in one.
All in one.
And it's a lot of things, yeah.
And the value proposition.
Yep.
And the value proposition of it.
Right.
You know, it should be more accessible to people. That's what we're trying to achieve, is it should be more accessible. Theatre, performing arts, events, entertainment should be accessible to the residents. You know, that's the piece where we try, where possible, to keep our ticket prices as low as possible, because we want people to come and enjoy it and come back. I'd rather have you come 5 times at a lower price than once at a more expensive price and then wish you were coming back.
Right, fair enough. So now I think it's time to wind up, unfortunately. But finally, just where do you think the future of this industry is headed towards, and what actually needs to be done by both organizers and the government in general to promote and push this as an industry?
We have a good step from the government because Tourism Department sponsoring on the 10% taxes. So I think the first thing is already done. I mean, to support organizers that they can be sponsored on that. And the rest, I think, still we need some time for the prices to go down. That's for me. I see only one thing: it's still everything overpriced. And the first step, as we and the organizers already doing, they're already trying to reduce the prices. So I think it's still too high for to see if other world, I mean, level prices. That's the only one thing I think.
I agree. We're getting great support from Dubai Calendar and Dubai Tourism. I do think that what I talked about at the beginning, the communication, yes. Events are going to compete. I'm not saying that we create a calendar where you're only allowed 1 event per day. That's ridiculous. But I do think that there is a wider communication piece where people could sit down and talk more about what the city needs. And I think for me, the future is to carry on creating experiences that people want to attend to. These experiences are now being packaged out into the UK for us, and that's again driving tourism. But for me, it's creating experiences that people enjoy at a value proposition and continuing. We've created partnerships with people like Andrew Lloyd Webber in the UK, and those are the things that we need to keep pushing: the education and the experience quality, experience content quality, content quality.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. There's so much more to discuss, but we don't have time, unfortunately. And thank you for watching AB Live. We will be back again next Tuesday.